A really interesting season. Again, the accolades poured in for you personally for Gamecock baseball. I mean, like I said, you were preseason All SEC, you were preseason All America first team. You guys, I remember specifically, were ranked fourth in the country in the preseason. And I remember people talking about they thought that could be the best South Carolina starting rotation of all time with Clark, Crow, and Adam Hill. And we all know what happened. Like your stats, obviously, you got hurt, you were victim to it, but you went 1-2, 2.39 ERA. You had 10 saves in 19 appearances, which sucks because, I mean, you were on pace to have an incredible type of season that year. But man, the injury bug just hit everybody. It just absolutely took everybody out. Clark got hurt, you got hurt. I think Destino got hurt, and it was like series after series after series. I know it had to be tough for you. And then it felt like it came down, every series came down to the third game, late in the game, where you'd probably be pitching, and something happened. It just seemed like every weekend after weekend, just how tough and frustrating, I guess, was that season for you, obviously, being sidelined with the injury, and not just you, but a couple of your teammates, and having to endure that.
Yeah. Like we talked about, baseball is, very random. And, like you said, the injury bug hit, but not only that, it was just when you talk about, balls going the right way, you're getting the right bounce, you're getting the right call, it just never seemed to fall in our lap. If that season had turned out to where we were able to win, maybe 2 or 3 more of those series and getting that playoffs, I almost would have guaranteed that we go to Omaha, just as hard as it was. In fact, those probably would have been, that stretch of SEC games on Sundays was probably maybe the toughest stretch of baseball that I've ever played.
Yeah.
I remember being at LSU.
I remember that one vividly.
Josh was pitching. There are 2 outs in 8th. I come in, get a ground ball to Madison, and there's a play at first. The umpire calls him safe. He's out. They tie the game, and then you're at LSU in a tie ball game in the 9th, and then go into extras. It's just
not much you can do there.
So, but obviously we had a good enough team to win those games, and we felt like it. It just it didn't happen. And we were right there with you. We definitely felt like that team was a team that South Carolina would have been proud of for a very, very long time. That was a great team, obviously a lot of talent. If you look at who's been drafted and where they got drafted, and
it's crazy
where they'll be in the next year, 2, 3, it just shows you that 1 year of, if that team was together for multiple years, like if you gave us another year or 2, definitely, something maybe would have happened. But that's just baseball. You only have a specific window. You only got 1 year with some of those guys.
Yeah, and people talk about that team a lot too. I mean, you guys went 35 and 25 and 13 and 17 in the conference. I mean, it wasn't like you guys lost every single game. It literally came down to, like you said, 2 or 3 series. And it really dated back to the Clemson series with I think it was Seth Beer or whatever. I don't even want to think about that guy. Haunts Gamecock fans memories. But talk about the injury. What was the injury specifically for you? Because I forgot. What was the injury you suffered that year?
Yeah, so it was a stress reaction in my humerus. So it's just a reaction that your bone will have if it has too much stress, too much torque on it. And it was, just think of it as like a bone bruise, but without any contact, just from all torque and throwing a baseball. And it was something that took a while because we had to wait for, bone density scans to come back as normal for me to come back. So it was extremely frustrating for me because you're sitting there, you're feeling good, and you get a bone scan back and it's a little bit soft, and
there's nothing you can probably do to rehab that, right? I mean, that's just.
No, because you don't want to aggravate it, so you just sit on it pretty much. It's like a broken bone.
Wow.
That's the way we treated it essentially. with time. And that's why it was like, it's like you guys would ask Coach Holbrook, how's he doing? How's he doing? He's making progress. Where is he at? He's making progress. It's because it was really almost a checkup by checkup thing.
Yeah.
It was whenever the machine said,
Right.
everything looks normal. But once we started feeling better, I mean, I almost essentially had no rehab plan. I think I started my rehab throwing, and then the next week, I think I threw against Florida for 2 innings. So it was like right back into it. And obviously, I showed spurts that were very good, and then I showed spurts that were very sporadic. So it's just the nature of the beast. You're trying to conquer something that puts you back a little bit, but like I said, that's just why we play sports.
No, for sure. You talked about, though, again, you fought the injury, but your game was obviously in a pretty good spot. Like I said, 19 appearances, 10 saves. I mean, 26 in the third innings, 40 strikeouts. And you were drafted by the White Sox, which we'll get into in just a second. But you had to feel pretty good about your game at that point, right? I mean, you were obviously, when you were out there, you were pitching pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, for sure. I was getting the job done. Obviously, there was, I mean, still to this day, there's 1 or 2 or there are 3 games that haunt me. But if you're talking in a span of however many appearances I had, would you say it was?
That year it was, let's see.
20 something?
19.
19.
Yeah. 55 total in your career,
Yeah.
19 that year, though. Yeah.
If you're looking at 19 appearances and you say, man, I really wish I could change 3 of them, that's
pretty good odds.
It's called baseball.
Yeah.
So it's just sometimes it was just a little unfortunate. I wish I could have done more. If I did more, we would have been in a tournament. And I feel like that's the way a lot of people felt on that team.